Hello, Tri-Cities. Welcome to the 2021 Vote for Business Candidate Forum. This is the only region-wide business-focused candidate forum in the Tri-Cities, and it's brought to you by the Tri-City Regional Chamber of Commerce. So in this forum, you will be hearing from candidates running for Kennewick City Council Position 3, Ward 3. I'm Alyssa Warner, news anchor with Cap KVU. I'm pleased to be with you. Voting begins as ballots start appearing in mailboxes October 13th. They will continue through Election Day. That's Tuesday, November 2nd. Thank you for joining us to learn about the candidates' thoughts and positions on the issues that impact our local economy and the business community. Now we have a message from President and CEO of the Tri-City Regional Chamber of Commerce, Lori Matson.
Thank you. I'd like to take a brief moment to thank the Chamber's Board of Directors and our Local Government Affairs Committee for their leadership in supporting the advocacy efforts of the Regional Chamber, and especially our sponsors, AYB Drafting, Cascade Natural Gas, and Hayden Homes. The Chamber supports positions that preserve and promote a positive business climate. As the foremost advocate and voice for business, the Chamber leads the region by advancing policies and positions that strengthen business and improve the local economy and quality of life. The 2021 Vote for Business Candidate Forum is designed to highlight how candidate positions integrate with local business priorities. And finally, a very special thank you to our local news partners for collaborating on this project. Your time, talent, and expertise are valued and truly appreciated. Now a word from one of our sponsors.
Hi, I'm Gina Donangelo with Hayden Homes, and I'm excited to be here today. Hayden Homes has been building for over 30 years and is a proud member of the Tri-City Regional Chamber. We are also proud to sponsor the Vote for Business campaign this year. Local elections are important to our business, so please remember to vote. Thanks for watching.
Thank you. And it is a pleasure for Cap KVU to support this effort to inform voters about the people who are running for public office. Now let's take a moment to talk about the format. Each candidate will have 1 minute for opening and closing statements. The candidates will be asked the same questions, and response time for each candidate is limited to 2 minutes. We'll see time limit reminders on screen at 10 seconds remaining, and if necessary, when the time is up. Now, since this is a forum rather than a debate, candidates will not get rebuttal time. All right, we are ready to get started. Let's begin by introducing in alphabetical order the two candidates in the race for Kennewick City Council Position 3, Ward 3. This is incumbent John Trumbo and challenger Jason Lohr. Gentlemen, welcome. Thank you very much for taking the time to be with us. We appreciate it. Now, if you're ready to go, let's get started. As we mentioned, we'll be starting with opening statements in alphabetical order. So, Mr. Lohr, we'll begin with you. You have 1 minute.
Thank you for having me today. And thank you all for listening to us. My name is Jason Lohr. I'm running for Kennewick City Council. My platform has been focused mostly on our infrastructure, first and foremost. Our city is growing just faster than I could have ever imagined. And as an electrician coming from a construction background, I have a unique insight into what I believe is going to be necessary for this city to grow in a way that leaves us all better off rather than crowded. I want to see us continue to have, safe and clean drinking water, easy to drive on roads, reliable power, and good jobs in a booming economy. To that end, I also think we need to be focusing on our current housing crisis and making sure we build enough homes for all these newcomers. Other than that, I hope to get some interesting questions today and learn more about this race, and hopefully you can learn more about me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lohr. Mr. Trumbo, you have 1 minute for your opening statement.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to emphasize that my interest in being on the council began in 2014, and it was all about accountability in government, that the money is spent for the best purposes, for the benefits of the people who live in Kennewick. This is always the top priority, and I think that the four most important areas that we need to put that money in are roads, police, fire, and water systems. Beyond that, I just want you to know that I am making a third term run for office because we are making good progress and we have plenty yet to do. I have a lot of help from several council members, and I want to continue to make the decisions that are best for the community in the long run. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Trumbo. Now let's move right into the question and answer portion of this forum. We had a coin toss just prior to taping. We determined that Mr. Trumbo will answer the first questions, and then we will alternate back and forth. So, Mr. Trumbo, if you can begin, what can the City Council do in regard to tax and regulation that will promote our region as a smart place to do business?
Well, the City Council has been pleased to have a good city manager in place for my terms, and that has resulted in a consolidation of a one-stop shopping for regulation at the City Hall for getting permits and processing business for construction and new enterprises in the community. That has been in place now for several years, and that's what we can continue to support. We've also just recently approved a plan to go ahead and add upgraded audio visual, which will make the processing of information at City Council, even in the times of COVID, more personal and easier for the public and business property owners to handle. That past week, I got a resolution supported for taking a position in opposition to any local income tax. And that's a good thing. And I'm also have been very strongly in support of industrial growth. This is what our city needs more than anything else. We need it from the property tax value, and we need it for the jobs. Kennewick is too dependent on what I perceive as a retail job market, and also jobs that are, for the most part, or many of them, do not provide full benefits. We have a wage problem in the city of Kennewick that is related to the unavailability of jobs that will actually support the households that are here now. Any other ideas that we have for growing the city have to depend upon the industrial model and proper land use. That's my philosophy about how to proceed on regulation and growth and taxes.
All right, thank you. Mr. Lohr, same question. What can our council do regarding tax and regulation that will promote our region as a smart place to do business?
Thank you. So I agree with my opponent on this, that we are lacking in industrial infrastructure and the jobs that go along with that. But in regards to what we have now, I believe that one of the biggest drivers of an economy that, at least currently, for better or worse, is largely dependent on retail sales tax is expendable incomes. So the more good paying jobs and the more well-paid people we have living in Kennewick and spending money in Kennewick, the more tax revenue we're going to get without placing an increased burden on taxpayers or businesses. Additionally, in regards to regulation, I believe we need to seriously work on finding ways to encourage and develop the medium density mixed use districts that result in walkable neighborhoods that young people want to live in, and thriving business districts. Those are really good symbiotic arrangements. Let's see. Yeah, I think I'm good.
All right, thank you. All right, you have the next question as well. So the current labor shortage is impacting local businesses. As a city council member, what would you do to foster, attract, and retain talent to build the next generation workforce?
Great question, and something I've dealt with through my union volunteering on our Renew Youth Outreach Committee. One of the things we're trying to do is work with the local education department and the state education departments to better advertise apprenticeships and ways to train the local workforce and attract more people into the city. As I alluded to in my opening statement as well, the housing market here is becoming, unsustainably pricing people out of homes. And so as we want more people to move here and young people to feel like they want to stay here and that this is a good place to build a family and an opportunity, we need to be developing, more homes and enough to actually leave those homes affordable at all income levels, which brings me back to those mixed use medium density districts that I think both attract people to the city because they're the kind of places people want to work and live, and also provide housing people can actually afford. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Trumbo, the same question for you. As I said, the current labor shortage impacting local businesses. So as a sitting city council, what can you do to foster, attract, and retain talent that will build the next generation of workforce?
This is a problem that has factors from the outside that create this situation. And also we have other agencies in the Tri-Cities who have a high priority to deal with this problem. So it's not all on the city of Kennewick. I think we need to make that clear at the beginning. The current labor shortages in part are related to, shall I just say, the national philosophy of providing income, cash to families, disincentivizing individuals from taking jobs in the current market conditions. When you have money to live on, you don't need a job. And we've seen this happening here in the last, shall we say, 8 or 9 months. People just don't want to take the positions. They will eventually when the money runs out, but the labor shortage is driven by national policy, I think, at this point, across the country as well as here. And I also want to point out that we have a Chamber of Commerce. We have the Visitor Convention Bureau, as Visit by Tri-Cities, and we have the TriDeck team. All of these people are involved in trying to create a more friendly environment for businesses to come in and bring the jobs that would be desirable. So the city council has a role in assisting these ancillary organizations. We don't carry the ball by ourselves. I think that needs to be recognized, and it also touches base on one of the issues that I really feel is a big question, which is what kind of community do we want?
All right. Next question is for you, Mr. Trumbo. So as a city council member, what specific investments by the city will you champion to encourage diversity of business and economic growth in Kennewick?
The investments that we have in Southridge have paid off very well. And we continue to have that model before the legislature for, shall we say, round 2. This is how we have taken funds and used a share of that income tax or that retail sales tax to jumpstart investment on properties in the Southridge area. This is helps us get some cash from the state and pay it back over time. It's a very productive program, and actually I think it was one of the models that the legislature recognized as good to apply elsewhere in the state. And we have, of course, a partnership with the Port of Kennewick, and we have been very much involved with them on that and doing the work on Columbia Drive. We have significant cash in the ground there for the wine village. And I also want to point out that we have been ahead of the game on extending infrastructure to areas that are desirable for prime industrial growth. And that would be certainly south of Southridge. So we are working very hard to see the way cleared for growth to occur. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Lohr, same question. If elected to city council, what specific investments by the city would you champion to encourage diversity of business and economic growth in Kennewick?
So I also am a big supporter of the waterfront development, as well as the Washington Street corridor connecting Clover Island to downtown Kennewick. I am very interested in the idea of entrepreneur incubators. I've seen work in many similar sized cities where you find vacant or underused retail space or space that could work for retail, and the city offers new startups free leases or very low cost leases for a certain amount of time on the contingency that if their business succeeds, that they agree to open that business within the within the city limits of Kennewick. It's a win for everybody involved. I'm also excited about the My Tri 2030 ideas going on right now about how to attract events to the Tri-Cities, specifically how to get event space in Kennewick for festival type events, as well as the Taste of the Tri-Cities event where they're trying to get each downtown to close off a portion to have an outdoor restaurant booth set up where people can make a day of bouncing from city to city, trying everything we have to offer. Those are the specific investments I know of right now that I would like to champion on city council, and a good indication of what I think is a good way to invest in Kennewick and attract business to Kennewick. Thank you.
Now, Mr. Lohr, you mentioned the My Tri 2030. That's a regional vision product. It's a community-driven effort to drive collaborative action. So could you expand on how you see the cities collaborating and coming together to solve our shared problems and to advance regional initiatives?
Yeah, I mean, that is, of course, very important. In the past, our cities have unfortunately seen themselves as at odds or even competitive, which is simply not a way we can continue. The future of the Tri-Cities is, hand in hand with each of the cities. We're all going to rise or fall together. We need to be able to cooperate. Fortunately, that has begun to get better with things like the My Tri 2030. I'm fortunate enough to have Brandon Anderson, former candidate for Kennewick City Council, as a supporter of my campaign. And I was just talking to him. He's on the Quality of Life Committee for the My Tri 2030, where they're focused on trying to get people to come not just to Kennewick, but to want to live in the Tri-Cities. I think that I would like to see more support for that endeavor, but more actual official committees of cooperation between all the cities in the Columbia Basin.
All right. Mr. Trumbo, same question. The My Tri 2030 is a regional vision project. It's a community-driven effort to drive collaborative action. How do you see cities collaborating and coming together to solve shared problems and advance regional initiatives?
My Tri-Cities 30 is a unique effort to make something happen that has stalled several times in the 8 years I've been on the city council. There have been efforts to get the cities to come together to put out projects that relate to that relate to working together on community endeavors, skating rinks, the performing arts centers, and that kind of thing. And the parochialism of the communities, not by the leadership, but by the citizens, have shot these down. So it's a grassroots issue. You have to convince the citizens to do this. And that's where the issue is. I think that the efforts of partnerships is the best way to proceed with this, and to get people to work together outside of the government boundaries that are strictly tied to taxpayer or voter approval. It's hard to do that when you have resistance at the grassroots level. My Tri-Cities, to me, is a unique concept because it gets right to that issue of what do we want the community to be? And all the time I have been here, there has never been a question that has been posed in the community or even at the council that says, what do we want this place to look like 10, 15, 20 years from now? That question has never been presented until now. And I really appreciate the survey responses. There was only one thing about it that I found interesting, and that is that it appeared that most of the responses were from individuals who have a vested, that is, financial interest in the community. That's good, but it doesn't include the people who vote. And that's where the rub comes, is right there. They have more power.
All right. I'm going to have to stop you there, but this is the end of the question and answer period. So we'll end the forum with closing statements. Mr. Lohr, you opened, so we'll begin closing statements with Mr. Trumbo. Mr. Trumbo, you have 1 minute.
Thank you very much. I'm a 20-year resident in Ward 3. I am in favor of, among other things, open labor negotiations. All of the money I have received, which is approximately less than 1/4 of what Mr. Lohr has come from local entities. And I am very much concerned about where we are headed as a community. And I want the taxpayers to know, the voters to know, that I am all about them. The best decisions for the best reasons for the benefit of the people who are here now. And I appreciate your vote. Thank you for giving me the time to do this. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Trumbo. Mr. Lohr, your closing statement. You have 1 minute.
Thank you. Well, I'm a husband, father of a rambunctious little toddler, and a regular working guy. I support my family on one income, and so I think I represent better than what we currently have on council, just the average Kennewick citizen. I believe we're changing a lot, and as we grow, we need to guide that growth with, people who know what they're talking about. To that end, I'm proud to have been endorsed and supported by the Kennewick firefighters, the Richland firefighters, the Washington Educators Association, and thousands of people who live and work right here in Kennewick. And I hope I can earn your support too. Thank you very much.
All right, Mr. Trumbo, Mr. Lohr, thank you very much for being with us. We appreciate you taking the time for the Tri-City Regional Chamber 2021 Candidate Forum. This is, of course, as we said, featuring candidates running for Kennewick City Council, Position 3, Ward 3. Now, as we begin the countdown to Election Day on November 2nd, please remind your friends in Kennewick to watch, share, and then get out the vote. You can find this video and other candidate forum videos on the Tri-City Regional Chamber of Commerce website. That's www.tricityregionalchamber.com. And again, thank you to the Chamber, to Cap K-View, the candidates, and the sponsors, Cascade Natural Gas, AYB Drafting, and Hayden Homes. And a special thank you to all of you for watching. This is Alyssa Warner, Cap K-View News, reminding you all to vote.